ridiculous.
Well, here's the thing.
Maybe. Sometimes.
Tell me about this. I want to know more.
Oh, yeah. No.
Holy cow.
We've had a lot of fun.
So, can you guys hear through my microphone here the wind whistling through the electrical wires here in my house?
Nope.
It's like parts of my house are moving and creaking that I probably should be worrying about. And there's sounds from power lines. There's sounds. We had our garbage can blown around this morning. It's really, really windy and cold here. Yesterday it was rainy and hot. Our weather has been crazy here in New Jersey. It's been cold one day, hot the next. It's supposed to be kind of consistently cold this time of year.
Yeah.
We've had very little snow, and we've had some really unseasonably warm weather. Are you having weird weather too, Catherine, there in the Midwest?
Yes, we had a day. We had some 60-degree days in February.
Oh, wow. Oh my gosh.
In
That's even
February.
weirder for you than it is for us.
Yeah, and then just the other day, it snowed like 6 inches during the course of a school day. So that was fun.
Well, 6 inches is just like a minor inconvenience.
Yeah,
right?
it is. I mean, I did
It
see
would shut us down, but
I did see many cars in the ditch. So
Oh, no.
that's always exciting.
oh wow.
When you're driving on the highway and you look to the left and to the right and there's
Mm-hmm.
vehicles marooned. Yeah, that gives me pause.
Oh, how about you, Nicole? Did it ever stop raining out there?
Yeah, we've had some pretty weird weather too because it was pouring rain at the beginning of the week and now it's beautiful and sunny and 75 degrees. So
Standard California weather now.
yeah, we're back to
75 is a little nippy though, right?
It is. We're still putting on a sweater.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's still a little chilly in the house. I've turned on the heat in the morning.
Whereas, Catherine, where you are, when it hits 60, you got the tank tops and the backyard barbecues, right?
Oh, for sure. Oh, the barbecues never get put away. Those
do?
happen all year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a year-round thing.
Ice barbecue.
Mm-hmm.
I think I saw that on the Food Network.
Mm-hmm. That's a real thing.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So as I sit here looking out the window at the blue sky and feeling a little bit chilly, I'll introduce our listeners to our podcast this week.
Yes.
So hello and welcome to Parenting Roundabout, a weekly podcast about the things that parents are talking about, obsessing about, and complaining about right now. I'm Nicole Eridix, and with me today are Terri Morrow.
Hello there.
And Catherine Haleko.
Hi.
And today on the podcast, we are talking about the best rooms in our homes. On our Friday speed round, we are going to shout out some stuff we like on the Roundabout Roundup and do some shameless self-promotion. But first, we are going to be talking about parents' life changes and how they affect our kids. Last week, we talked about our child's milestones and changes. So we're flipping the switch this week.
That's right. So Nicole's husband's job required their family to move to a whole new country.
Mm-hmm.
And when Terry's husband got laid off and then got a new job, everyone in the family felt the effects of that. And I recently stopped writing for Very Well, which had been my main freelance gig for a really long time.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
So, my kids can pick up on that, on me being a little bit like, what's next? So, some milestones for parents, like going back to work or changing jobs, are driven by the kid milestones, like when they start kindergarten or graduate from college or middle school or whatever. But so we wanted to talk today about what happens when it's kind of the other way around, when changes in a parent's life affect kids, and how do we handle that? So, Nicole, it's been a while since you moved, but maybe you could talk a little bit about how that happened.
It's still fresh in my mind.
How old were your kids when you made that move?
My son was in 6th grade, so he was turning 13, and my daughter was in 1st grade, and she was turning 6, and it was halfway through their school year because we moved in December, mid-December, just before school holidays.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was a huge transition for us. We had moved previously, my husband and I, many, many times. And however, this was our first big move as a family.
Mm-hmm.
And we moved because my husband got a job down here. But it was hard. And I think the hardest part about it was keeping our stress away from the kids as much as possible, because we had to find a new home and deal with moving vans and then all the immigration stuff. And my husband was also living down here for part of that time, and we were on our own up there trying to tie things up and sell the house.
Mm-hmm.
Plus I was working. So there was an incredible amount of stress that was hovering. And so the most challenging part, yes, was keeping as much stress away from them as possible. I mean, I think it's healthy for them to see some of those, emotions and reactions, and how it's healthy for them to see the positive ways in which you deal with stress.
Are there some?
That means there have to be some.
Yeah, I know, and I can't really remember what it was, but I tried to be a good role model. I tried not to break down in front of them and throw my daily tantrum after they went to bed. But yeah, that was a huge task. And the other part of that was staying positive, because we were leaving a lot and we were giving up a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But it was giving them that message that this is a big change, but change can be good, and it's a new opportunity, and the door is opening, and we need to take that. So
were they excited about moving to the United States, or not happy about it?
Yeah, they were excited about the transition and the move in theory.
Yes.
When it did happen in real life, it was obviously very sad and upsetting, because they were leaving their friends and their grandparents. And of course, it took a while for them to get, to create new friendships and people, networks here. So there was a time when it was challenging emotionally and socially. Yeah. So, but here we are, 9.5 years later. And we've made a new life for ourselves here and enjoy it. So there was definitely some challenging times, but there's also been a lot of good. So
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Terri, talk about your situation a little bit, because that's more recent.
We've got the challenging times. We're sort of waiting for the good to come on.
Yeah.
But for a long time we had a very, very convenient situation, in that my husband worked for the same company for like 44 years. He worked for a supermarket chain, and during most of the kids' time that they can remember, and certainly for as long as we'd been in this house, he worked like right around the corner. He was like less than 5 minutes from home. So he would come home for lunch. He had a schedule where he went in early in the morning, and he got off like around, I can't even 100% remember now, but he got off like at 3 o'clock. So he could pick kids up from school. He was home when kids got home from whatever they were doing. He had a day off during the week. He could do stuff. And we had just grown very, very accustomed to that and kind of built our whole family routine around it. And then when his supermarket chain went out of business, we had a very stressful few months where we thought he would just be, the way it was supposed to work is he would be transferred to a different store that was not closing or that was getting sold to somebody else. And then they just kind of didn't do that. They just laid him off, and all the other people who had been there for a very long time got laid off instead of transferred. And then, so we had then the whole stress of, number one, our primary income is gone. Number two, we have to find another job. And you know what? When you're a guy in your 60s and you've been working the same place for 44 years, not a lot of employers looking for you. Mm-hmm. So that was not easy. And so there was a lot of stress over finding a job. There was a lot of me hyperventilating over money. There was a lot of stuff going on. And then he finally did find a job, but it's half an hour, 40 minutes away. His schedule is such that he goes in later and comes home real late. As we've mentioned here before, he's the one who cooks dinner. So now we have dinner very late. And it just threw off the entire rhythm. And for weeks or even months, our kids were stopping and saying, wait a minute, this isn't going to happen the way we're used to. Pop's not going to be home now. He's not going to be home at this time. He's not going to be able to come and do this. And we kept bumping up on it again and again, how difficult it was to just sort of readjust the way we'd done everything. And certainly difficult for him too. And he's not somebody who's sharing that struggle, but I know he's been going through it. And then I felt the pressure to like do more freelance work. So now we've got a situation, as I've mentioned before, where I'm working pretty much all of the time, which creates stress in the family and creates stress for me. And we're having the money worries every month that we didn't used to have. So it's been a really, really stressful time. And I know it affects my kids negatively. Changes in routine are very hard. Stress in the household is very, very, very bad. But when you're going through it yourself, there's not always a lot you can do about it. I can't not feel stressed about that. We can't find another job that has that same schedule, so we don't have to mess up your schedule. We have to just take anything that comes along. So it's been a rough few years, couple of years at least. And I don't necessarily see the point at which it will stop being rough. We now have a situation where he's off in the summer, which is nice because he's around. Not nice because he didn't get paid. And he works at a college, so he's laid off for the summer. Right. And nice that he's around, but at the same time, as I think we've discussed here before, that messes up my work routine. It's like suddenly there's people all over the place. So it's just been, after many, many, many years of same, it's been a couple of years of constant change, and I hate it, and I want it to stop. 9 years, you're feeling better about things, Nicole?
Sorry.
How long do I have to wait for this to normalize? And it's never going to normalize because he doesn't have the same kind of job now he did, so there's no security, and I'm freelancing, and as we well know, as Catherine is feeling this week, there's no security. And because right after he lost his thing, that's when I stopped working for About, which became very well after the fact. So that was another transition to have to stop doing that and start finding other things to do. So I hate it. I wish it would stop. I like everything being the same too. So I have no answers to this. It's it's hard enough when your kids are having problems and you have to help them adjust to it. And their problems affect you as well, but it's not something that you are personally, uprooted feeling by. That's not been the case here. All of us have been discombobulated. We need one of those recombobulation zones.
Area from the Milwaukee airport. It's tough to reassure your kids in these moments when you're not feeling very reassured yourself, right? That's the challenge.
Yes, so and you want to just tell them, could you put your challenges off for a while? We need to focus on this now. Can we just put the hold switch on your disabilities and your problems? We're dealing with mom and dad now.
I feel like there's a mini version of this that happens with every new school year. Especially for us in recent years, because it's like every year one or both kid has been in a new school just because of the way, there's one school for K to 5, then there's one for 6, then there's one for 7 and 8, then there's one for 9 through 12. And so between the two of them, my kids have, been somewhere different all the time. And so just kind of that, like, okay, what time do we get up? What time do we leave the house? Like, who takes who where?
That's true.
We still, it's March and we don't have a standard, like, pickup routine after school because things change so much. This one has one staying after school for something, one's getting a ride, one's not getting a ride, just constant change. So it's hard to feel settled into anything.
And how does your shifting freelance responsibilities and schedule affect them? Do you ever have to do any travel?
I have, for when I was writing for Very Well, I have done a few trips for that. And I think for me, it's more like my own thinking, like, okay, what's next, that could affect them. And, like, should I go get a job, in a physical location? Should I, I'll see something on LinkedIn or whatever, and I'm like, well, I could do that job, and it's reasonably local, but then, like, wow, the thought of going to an office full time, like, that does not fit with all this, with everything that my kids are doing, and so
it's hard. Once you've been working from home, it's hard to think about working outside of the house.
Yeah. Sometimes I think
a flexible schedule.
Would it be better for me to be out of the house so I wasn't obsessing over everybody all the time? Maybe people would enjoy that. Maybe it would be good for mom to get out of the house, but then I just logistically don't know how I could do it.
Yeah.
People need to be transported to places. And the only way we could do it is if I could get a job that was good enough that my husband could stop working. But that's not likely. And I have had experience both with applying to jobs and not getting them because apparently what they were looking for is somebody right out of college who will take less money. And then also I spent a few days at a freelance client's office seeing what offices are like now. And I don't want to work in one. It was all open and, many, 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 many young people flocking about. And I'm thinking, I am a dinosaur. I want a cubicle at the very least. I want walls to hang things on. I feel
want
like
my
the
space.
Oldest old lady there is. So now when I look at those things on LinkedIn, I think, you know what? This would be a bad idea. It might sound good. It might be appealing in so many ways, but nah.
Well, I mean, do you see any benefits for your kids in these situations, like Nicole, in terms of learning about flexibility and resilience? You talked a little bit about that before, about how you were trying to, put on that good face for them.
At the same time.
Right. You don't want them to just stuff their feelings and not
sometimes we do.
Well, sometimes you want them to do it at a more convenient time.
Yes. Can we schedule in that those feelings of insecurity and anxiety? Let's next Tuesday at 10 is good.
Yeah. So, but I mean, do you feel like they learned they benefited ultimately from making the move?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some downsides to moving, but they have learned resiliency and they've learned flexibility, like you mentioned. They've definitely, their view of the world has opened up and expanded, and their understanding of how, all the vast differences there are, and their tolerance level has changed. So I think they've also gained a lot of things that are characteristics that will help them down the road as adults. So, I mean, I'm sure they would have eventually learned them, but this has kind of forced the issue. So, so I appreciate the experience for what for what it's given my kids, for sure. Learning to be problem solvers has been the big one. So learning how to manage things.
And then they can teach us.
Yeah. So
roll with the punches, young people, and then tell us how to do it.
Yeah, I think in our case, I mean, they don't know all the ins and outs of how many freelance jobs I have and how it all works and how I get paid or not. And but just being able to talk to them a little bit about, like, well, this one, it became a situation where it wasn't right for me anymore. So now I need to find some other things, and that'll be interesting. And
But I think it's good. I think, I don't know how it was with your parents, but when I was growing up, my parents hid a lot of stuff from me. So I didn't get to see or understand the background. There was just these decisions that were made, and that was it. because I did a lot of moving around when I was younger too. And, one day it would just be, okay, we're moving. I'd be like, what? Why? So we tried to give our kids the appropriate amount of information as we were going through these changes so that they could understand and feel like they were part of that decision as well in some way.
Which is not easy, like how much is appropriate and how much do they understand is private to be kept within the family, and how much can they handle, and it's rough.
Yeah.
I mean, in your case, Terri, it was like, they have to know that his job situation changed because suddenly he's home.
he's leaving at different times. He's coming home at much different times. Right. He's not coming home during the middle of the day. He doesn't have that day off in the middle of the week. Yeah, everything changed. So it's taken us a while. I'm not sure we're still 100% used to it, and it's been quite a while. So it's hard. And I don't know how much you give. Ideally, you would give kids enough information to feel that they know what's happening in their lives and to have some stability and to feel resilient, but not so much to make them anxious.
Right.
They should not have to be worrying about money. They should not have to be worrying about whether a parent has a job. Those should not be concerns. They should worry about their homework and their schoolwork and what's ever going on in their lives. But unless you have a mansion and can just go have all your discussions, in the other wing,
right?
There's really no way. Our house, we're pretty much all on one floor. You can hear everything from every bedroom. There's really no secrets that can be kept. And especially when tempers and emotions are high and you're not exactly whispering, everybody hears everything. And then afterwards you think, oh, that really should not have been for public hearing. I wish I could go make you unhear that. So I know that's part of it, because I get anxious and spout off, and we try to discuss what we're going to do and how we're going to do things, and everything gets heard by everybody. So that is not good. I would not recommend that. Parents, go to a coffee shop, go sit in the car in the garage. But then your kids know you've gone off somewhere to have a discussion that is so awful that you can't have it where they can hear. So you're pretty much out of luck no matter what. Just have a steady life and have nothing bad happen.
Yeah, there you go.
Don't move anywhere.
This is our advice to you today, listeners.
You should have no problem following up with that.
Ay. Well, speaking of trying to find a place to have a breakdown in serious conversations in your house for our Friday speed round, we're going to move on to talking about our houses and the best rooms in our houses. Catherine, do you have a room you consider the best room in your house?
It's hard, and the funny thing is, we do have a fair amount of space, but our house is so old that you can hear everything everywhere. Like there's no hiding anything. You can hear it all. So yeah, I mean, I love, on the one hand, I love our kitchen, especially after we redid it a few years ago. We expanded it, and it's got lots of windows, and it's set up.
Your
It's my laundry room
is in there.
Exactly. So I like that a lot. But it's also where work happens, like laundry and cooking, and it gets messy so quickly because it has this big island in the middle of it, and a big horizontal surface just becomes like the dumping ground no matter what. So that could stress me out from time to time. So that isn't always my favorite room. It's hard to say. I think I like the living room because there's no TV in there. It's just it's just seating, and and the dogs like to hang out there and look out the windows, and it's kind of nice to sit in there and read, and because I don't generally do any work-ish tasks in there, so that makes it a good room.
Oh yeah, that must be nice.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying
I
how
have no
often I
such
use it for that purpose, but in an ideal world.
How about you, Nicole? Do you have a room that's your favorite?
Yeah, like Catherine, I really enjoy our living room. There's no TV in there. It's at the front of our house, so there's windows that face the street so we can see out. It's always clean because nobody ever goes in there. So I get to walk by it and admire it.
Wow.
Nice and clean. And we have furniture in there that is rarely used, so it looks brand new.
Is this where the mystery colored
it's
couch
kind of
is?
No, those are in the
Okay.
family room. So, and they're looking more and more brown every day, or maybe I'm just getting used to them. I'm not sure. But yeah, it's my favorite room in the house, and I rarely go in there, but I
Wow.
like to walk by and peek in.
Just check on it, see how it's doing.
Yeah, check on it, make sure it's all clean still, and yeah.
Oh,
So
man.
it gives me peace and calmness and serenity when the family room and the kitchen is in
Yes.
disarray.
Oh, wow. I have no such
So-
room in my house. When I was growing up, we had a formal living room like that. And
Mhm.
that was very nice. The first house my husband and I lived in, we did have a room that was a living room, but we spent a lot of time in it, so it was never that neat, especially once we had kids. And then here, we've got a weird setup in our house in that it has what's called here anyway, a mother-in-law apartment downstairs, which actually, when we moved in, housed my mother-in-law. And now it's empty. So that whole kind of first level of the house that has a little living room and a bathroom and a kitchen and a bedroom is sort of slowly falling into decay because nobody's using it. And so it's depressing for me to be down there because I can see all the things that need to be fixed before it will be a livable space for anybody. So I don't go down there very much. I guess that's my equivalent of the room that never gets used, but rather than being pristine and comforting, it's stressful. And then, so really, we have the upstairs, which is sort of like a 3-bedroom apartment. It's all on one level. Our living room and dining room are all kind of an open space. I guess they call that open plan now, right? Our kitchen there's a wall between that and the kitchen. So I guess there's not a whole lot of selection for what my favorite room is. I like my bedroom in theory. It's really big and it has a little bathroom off it, which I always wanted. But like so much of my house, it's fallen into disrepair. And it's become, since it's so spacious, it's become the place we dump everything we don't know what to do with. So like 1/3 of the room is now just so covered with stuff and dust that I can't even imagine reclaiming it, because what would I do with all that stuff? So I guess I'll have to say it's our big open living room, dining room would be my favorite. It's certainly where I spend most of my time. I have my little table set up right in the middle, which is where I'm talking to you right now and where I do a lot of my work. And then sometimes I sit on the couch and work, and sometimes I go to the dining room table and work, and sometimes I go in the kitchen and work. There's not a room in the house that I don't sometimes work in, except my mother-in-law's former bedroom downstairs, which is dark and a little scary. So, well, that will be it for our Friday speed round. Remember, you can hear a new speed round every Monday through Thursday.
And now we bring you some of the things that we've read or seen or used recently that we want to shout out and share with you. So, Terri, have you got anything for us?
Don't call on me first. Call on somebody else while I try to figure out what I'm going to say. You guys got stuff
Catherine.
written down.
Well, okay, it's not really a thing that I've read, but it's something I've used, so I'm calling it legit. So, it's time to start doing your taxes if you haven't done them yet. And I don't know why I didn't think of this before this most recent tax season, but I just have an envelope, and like a big envelope, and when things come in the mail that are tax related, all those end of the year statements, all those, W-2s, anything 1099, all that stuff, when it comes, I put it in the envelope. And I don't file it somewhere else and then go find it again when I'm ready to do the taxes, which is what I used to do. And how dumb was that? Just put it all in there, and you could do it for the whole year. that's what I'm going to do next year because I didn't think of it until now.
Excellent.
Just have a thing that's documents that are related to that you only need at tax time. Like if you make a donation and you get a acknowledgement, if you donate stuff to Goodwill, and you have that little receipt that they give you. I just stick it in this one folder, and then that way it's all there, and it doesn't feel like such a huge job when it comes to doing the taxes. To you at least start with having most of what you need in front of you.
That's a good idea.
So
I have a accordion file in which I put absolutely every scrap of paper for the entire year that I might sometime in the future wish to access, and even quite a lot that I know I never will. But then you have to go through that.
Right.
And it's
right.
a lot.
And some things
I do have,
I guess there are things that you maybe don't need, that you would need for something other than taxes, and you would need it for the taxes. So then you have to kind of decide how you're going to handle that. But in general, this I think is a good way to give yourself a little leg up when it comes to starting the taxes.
Yeah.
Good.
I do go so far as having a folder in which I put all the W-2s and all those other sorts of documents as they come in. This year it is the folder that we got from my daughter's orthodontist that once had her billing paperwork in it. The little stubs to send in every month. I'm repurposing. Thank you, Dr. Chung.
For you. You're upcycling.
Absolutely. Nicole, what are you recommending this week?
I just started watching a new series on HBO, and I love it. It's so fun. It's a little bit risque and not really it's adult
Children,
oriented.
cover your ears while Nicole talks about
Cover
this.
your ears.
A large children
but
listening audience.
Yeah, it stars Nicole Kidman and Shailene Woodley and Reese Witherspoon, Laura Dern. Dorn or Dern?
Laura,
no, Dern, yeah.
Laura Dern, not Lorna Doone.
That's different.
It's called Little Big Lies. And from what I understand, it's just a short-term series, but I've watched 2 episodes. I love it. It's a great series so far. So I can't wait.
I've heard that. I thought it was
for the episodes to come out.
I've heard good things about that. I thought it was. Is it Little Big Lies or Big Little Lies?
I think it's Big Little Lies.
Oh gosh, Big Little Lies. Okay.
Listeners, when you're looking
there, I don't
up,
even get the title
we're
right.
Really sure about the word lies.
It's definitely
They're
in there
definitely
somewhere.
lies.
I'm not sure about the order.
They're either little lies that are big, or they're big lies that are little.
Big Little Lies.
There you go.
Yes.
Just search for lies in Lorna Doone and
see if you can get something. Oh, boy.
Oh my god.
Oh, well, okay. I thought of something. I'm going to give a shout out today to Irish breakfast tea, which is the thing that is going to keep me on my feet.
Oh, that's
until
right.
Easter.
It's Lent.
I'm once again in my Lenten coffee fast, and as I was complaining about that one year, somebody told me that Irish breakfast tea would deliver to me the shot of caffeine that I needed to be a person that people will want to be around. And this year I tried it right from the start. I've been drinking it, and I have not had my normal headaches and grouchiness. So Keurig K-cups of Irish breakfast tea will be my sustenance until
Easter.
Sweet coffee re-enters my life on Easter Sunday.
Okay.
And you all may say that is who you want to thank when I am somebody that you can talk to. Thanks, Irish breakfast tea.
I think I'll need some in order to remember the name of the show that I really like.
You got it on the DVR. You know what? I guess it'd be confusing alphabetically, but still, you'll find it
somehow or another. You'll find it.
And now for our final segment today, we are going to do a little shameless self-promotion and direct you to some things on our sites that we think you should take a look at. When you're listening to this, it will have been about a week and a half since March 1st, which was Spread the Word to End the Word Day. But I wrote a list of 10 things that you can do to spread the word to end the word, and you can still go back and look at that on the Friendship Circle blog, and you can still do most of those things. In fact, you can do all of those things. Go do them now. It's part of the Special Olympics campaign to get people to stop using what we shall call the R word. And if you don't know what that is, go to r-word.org and learn all about it and make a pledge to cut it out.
Very good.
Nicole, what are you sharing this week?
Well, though we will be listening to this after the fact, it will be recorded, and that is our summit that we are going to be presenting, myself and several colleagues, on inclusive education
Yay.
at South by Southwest EDU conference.
Exciting.
That is going to be in Austin, Texas. So very excited about that. It'll be myself. It'll be Rob Rummel Hudson, who I finally get to meet in real life.
Yay. And Skylar, too.
And Skylar's going to be there
So
too.
jealous.
She's also a speaker, part of our summit. So excited to have her. Beth Foraker and Renee Marquez. So all very talented, exceptional people in the field of inclusive education.
Yes.
So looking forward to speaking with them. And yeah, it'll be recorded and put on my site.
Very
Use
interested
as a
in
class.
hearing about that after the fact.
Yeah,
Yeah.
can't wait to report back.
Yay. How about you, Catherine?
Well, since we've discussed, I am no longer writing for Very Well. So
Bye on them.
So plenty of my stuff is still there, but I recommend that you follow me on Twitter. We always talk about this at the end of our show anyway, but follow me on Twitter so that you'll be able to follow whatever it is I am doing next. And my new Twitter handle is at @chaleko, which is if you were following me at About Family Fit, you will still be following me at @chaleko. I just changed the name, so I didn't lose anybody. I
But
hope.
everybody's going to look at that and think it's Chaleco.
Yes, I've gotten that before. And Coleco, as in like ColecoVision, has
Uh-huh.
Oh no.
Opens up all sorts of new possibilities
it
for you there.
certainly does.
Fun. Well, that's it for this week's episode of Parenting Roundabout. We hope you enjoyed it and that you'll join us every week. You can listen to podcast episodes on parentingroundabout.com or download them from iTunes. Please subscribe so you get all of our podcasts and mini podcasts. You can also follow us on Twitter, where I am at Nicole Eridix. Catherine is at @chaleko. And Terri is at Mamatude. You can also find the podcast on Twitter at Roundabout Chat and look for us on Facebook, Pinterest, Tumblr, YouTube, and Instagram too. Best of all, stop by our blog at parentingroundabout.com and read recaps, find links on all the stories we mentioned, and please talk back in the comments.
Yes.
We'd love to hear from you. Thanks to John Moran for providing our in and out music, and I wish everyone a great week.